This is Mark Mullinax, and welcome back to Power for the Peaceful, a podcast and class on Taoism. Today, episode 9, What Would Water Do?
Nothing is softer or more yielding than water. Yet, given time, it can erode even the hardest stone. That's how the weak can defeat the strong, and the supple can win out over the stiff. Everybody knows it, so why don't we apply it to our own lives? Ron Hogan's rendering of verse 78 in Tao Te Ching.
Good day and welcome back. First, thank you, Tom Burnett from Asheville, North Carolina, for your readings this episode. In a few moments, Tom will pose a question for us. Also, thanks to my brother, Ben Mullinax, for finding his 8-year-old recording of water in various settings, which you will hear throughout this episode. What is the one thing that has shaped the course of human civilization more than any other? Military? Democracy? How about economic wealth? No, according to climate scientist and author Giulio Bacaletti, the answer is water. Today's episode expands on his answer. Here's my translation of verse 8 in Tao Te Ching. What would water do? How does one live with unparalleled excellence? Be like water. Water brings benefits to all living things. Without thought or contention, water seeks the lowest places that others avoid, and there finds the way, like Tao. Dwell in lowly settings. Tune the strings of your heart-mind down in the fathomless places. There, earn a master's in humanity. Speak simply. When governing, practice skilled fairness. In daily work, practice competence. From such skills, one will know the timing for every justice. What would water do? Stay low. The wise do not strive, attracting neither enemy nor error. Win-win. Where water is life. When water leaves, life leaves too. Life as we know it depends upon water as its most indispensable substance. Without water, no life. There's evidence that some water molecules on our planet are older than our sun, even older than our galaxy. According to the Huffington Post, a significant portion of the water we use every day to bathe in, to drink, to swim in, most likely came from space. What does water do? Water is a space-traveling womb or evolving laboratory for life to begin and to continue. Sorry for the bad pun, but today we dive into water and see how water is not just Tao in action, but also a guide to our ethics. To do this, I'm going to hand over my microphone to water. Listen as water talks. Consider deeply its ways and ethics. And I believe you'll understand Tao more than any podcast can ever deliver. If water could talk, here's what it might say in English. Listen for water right after this musical pause. I am water. I am wet. I am the original shapeshifter. I am sacred. I am tears, ocean, leaks. In moderation, there is life. but too little or too much, and I am death. I am in tea, cola, beer, ink, watercolors. Jesus walked on me. I am skied upon. I am the baptizer. I flood. I form pools, ponds. I become rain. Mist, fog, and clouds are what I look like above. Below, I am puddles, ditches, geysers, ripples, mud, quicksand, waves, waterfalls. I support the tiniest raft and the super ocean liner alike. I am dammed up, recreated in, sweated, pissed out. I carry life, and I carry sewage. I am punishment for witches, waterboarding in torture, a healer, a thirst quencher, bather par excellence, rock carver, reflector. I flush, I clear, I clean, I bathe, I smooth, I rinse, I never stop. I have no vacations, no PTO. I wake you up with a cold splash to the face. I freeze and crack the biggest boulder. All this without color, shape, or size. But that's how Tao is.
The whole moon and the whole sky are reflected in dewdrops in the grass, in one drop of water, Zen Master Dogen.
I am Nixie, or water spirits. I am water gods like Neptune. I go to the lowest of low places. I pound rocky beaches into fine sand. I support. I serve all. I am a cemetery to untold infinite things. I carry diseases, and I carry life. I come in drops, drafts, rivers, and oceans. I'm the only substance in liquid, gas, and solid states. I alone persist through the eons because I go around obstacles to get through. In the first verse of the Bible, I am there as the subterranean seas of the earth. And then God hovers over me as she begins birthing all creation.
It had long been a theory that human beings were invented by water as a device for transporting itself from one place to another. Tom Robbins.
Every language has a word for me. All who exist carry me around. I soothe spirit and sustain body. My beauty inspires art and music. Every culture encourages swimming in me. Every culture and every religion have rituals and ceremonies in which I play the central role. I bathe newborns and the newly dead. I clean disciples. I baptize. As I cycle from the air to the land to the sea and back again, I shape the planet. There is no aspect of the living or the non-living where I am not a player.
I was always aware, I think, of water in the soil, the way it travels from particle to particle, molecules adhering, clustering, evaporating, heating, cooling, freezing, rising upward to the surface and fogging the cool air or sinking downward, dissolving this nutrient and that quick in everything it does, endlessly working and flowing. Jane Smiley, 1,000 Acres.
Every single day, even when the sun shines on you, vast amounts of me fall as rain all over this planet. Every single year, 10,000 cubic miles of me pour from rivers into the sea. The amount of me locked into the minerals of Earth's mantle is many times that held by all our oceans. And yet, I am treated as though there were an infinite supply of me. Only 3% of me on this planet is fresh, and I am found least where there are the most people. About 2/3 of that 3% is ice, and most of the rest is locked underground. So only a mere fraction of me on the earth supports all land life. but I use only gravity to do my work. Hidden work, way down deep. I bet you don't know a fraction of my capabilities.
If there is magic on this planet, it is contained in water. Lauren Isley, The Immense Journey.
I am the softest thing on earth. You can swim through me without injury. Ha! Try diving into anything other than water. Only I support you. But I break down the hardest things on earth. Just watch me circulate around the hardest of rocks and watch as I smooth every rough place. Nothing escapes me.
The nature of water is yielding, and that of stone is hard. Yet, if you hang a bottle filled with water so that the water drips drop by drop, it will wear a hole in the stone. Abba Poman, Desert Father in Early Christianity.
No one prefers the low places like I do. I am the diplomatic core of Tao. Watch how I receive all by going low. Heck, I even accept pollution. The power of anything great should be like me, a delta that welcomes all things at the lowest possible point. Act like me and you will live. Refuse, get all brittle, and you'll break upon the rocks, for I am water. I wear down mountains. I erode all the hard places and make the rough ways smooth. With me alone, the tough become tender. And like time, I wear things away. I outlast every unnatural thing.
Confucius saw a man dive in the water, and supposing that the man was in some kind of trouble and intended to end his life, he ordered his disciples to line up at the bank and pull the man out. But after the man had gone a couple of 100 paces, he came out of the water and began strolling along the base of the embankment, his hair streaming down, singing a song. Confucius ran after him and said, "At first I thought you were a ghost, but now I see you're a man. May I ask you if you have some special way of staying afloat in the water?" "I have no way. I began with what I was used to, grew up with my nature, and let things come to completion with fate. I go under with the swirls and come out with the eddies, following along the way the water goes, and never thinking about myself. That's how I can stay afloat." Chong Zhu, translated by Burton Watson.
What do I know? My first job is to adapt, and I teach the art. I shape-shift to understand things by surrounding them 360 degrees. Learn from me. I know things. Just watch me and you'll know too. I wash away impurities. Cannot you do that too? When something is difficult, do I quit? No. The difficult is my mission. I never quit. The difficult cannot survive because it cannot adapt itself to anything. But I cut through the hard because I adapt. Without thinking, mind you. I can boil and I can freeze. Like I said, I'm the original shape-shifter. I disappear and reappear. I am like the bubble arising. Can you do any of this? With Tao you can. Learn this one thing as you can.
Water does not resist. Water flows. When you plunge your hand into it, all you feel is a caress. Water is not a solid wall. It will not stop you. But water goes along where it wants to go, and nothing in the end can stand against it. Remember, you are half water. If you can't go through an obstacle, go around it. Water does. Margaret Atwood.
Any last words, Water? Yes, I am forever. I am eternal. I am not in this for the short term. I don't do quick fixes. I invest in long-term projects. I have all the time in the universe. I persist because I serve. Better that I be spilt than atoms be split or armies be built.
Water is the blood of the earth and flows through its muscles and veins. It is concentrated in living creatures. Therefore, it is said that water is something spiritual. There is not one thing which is not produced through it. It is only the person who knows how to rely on water's principles who can act correctly. Hence, the sage who would transform the world acts like water. When water is uncontaminated, people's hearts are upright. When water is pure, people's hearts are at ease. The people's hearts being upright, their desires do not become dissolute, and their conduct is without evil. Hence, the sage does not teach people one by one or house by house, but takes water as their key. Quan Tzu.
Thank you, Water. So, my podcast friends, what is power? Mao Zedong, a 20th century Chinese revolutionary, said power grows out of the barrel of a gun. And most worldviews today agree. Power is an extension or projection of strength designed to influence others to do your will. The ultimate weapon in this kind of power's arsenal is nuclear power, a power which harnesses the energy of the universe's stars. Our cultures around the world romanticize the warrior way. To become a warrior is to bring the highest pride to your family. To be a warrior is thought to be the highest and best examples of strength, courage, and personality. We give our kids military-like games to play, action figures to model themselves after, and many of our national holidays commemorate military events. But today's verse reverses this thinking. There is another power that harnesses the universe's energy. It is not the way of destruction by splitting atoms, but the way of transformation by water. Water chooses the lowest, most invisible path. It offers no resistance, but wears down all resistance. Flowing as water, breathing as mist, expanding as ice, moving as a river, water has infinite ways to adapt, change, and bring the dead to life. We all live downstream.
Be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you will find a way around it or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. If you put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey. As the water shapes itself to the vessel that contains it, so a wise person adapts himself to circumstances. Confucius.
Homework. I have made this episode short for this reason. Let me encourage you to go back through the episode and insert yourself for water. Can you say some of the same things about yourself as water said about itself? Now to our question. Tom, our reader, poses this one.
In a natural river channel, flowing water shapes its banks as it is contained by them. In our modern world, with all its artificial channels pushing us this way and that, how do we regain our capacity to shape our banks in a natural way?
Thanks, Tom. You are right. We do have so many channels, artificial channels, most of them, to choose from. Many are the voices that would tell us what to do or buy or how to be. With so many options, how would we find our natural place? The title of a 2004 book by Barry Schwartz says it all, perhaps. The Paradox of Choice, Why More is Less. While we might believe that more options actually makes it easier to choose one possible option to make us happy, having an abundance of options actually requires more effort to make a decision and can leave us feeling unsatisfied with our choice. Next, is not our mission in life to flow in our own nature, and by doing so find or even create our own channel, not one chosen by others? For the risk is real, that we listen to others and go with their flow, not our own. In our increasingly fast-paced and anxious world, it is often bewildering which path to choose. How to choose that one path with heart, that one path that is our natural channel. Well, how do you tell what is a life-giving channel? By doing the right things at the right time, for the right reasons, with the right people. As we saw in our last verse, verse 7, our mission as people connected with Tao is to be of service, like water, to others. Left to its own devices, water flows. And that flow is not just natural, but beautiful and sustainable. The states of being natural, beautiful, and sustainable means that you're doing the right thing. Not just for yourself, but for your communities and others. This is usually a non-thinking process if we follow our path simply, the path with heart. Now, Tom, there's hardly a path with heart or a channel that is pristine and unaffected by culture somehow. Culture affects us all at some level, all the time. An analogy would be how the ways in which, say, Irish or Southern U.S. culture affects spoken accents. That cultural influence upon language is the very same process in which that culture will affect the ways we flow. Does this make them any less authentic? I would argue no, because authenticity happens in every culture, any culture, irrespective of time or place. Authenticity happens despite being immersed in a culture. The task for each person is to figure out how they will include that culture in their being and what to exclude. It's all about intention. In the tension between being a product of culture and attempting to transcend that culture, the way of the Taoist practice is not to be aloof from the world, but to be water to it, going low, serving, cleaning the dirty, softening the hard, easing the difficult. There is tension, yes, which, like in any birth, is the way to newness. We are ever in that tension. However, while being open to the way and flowing in our channel means that whatever is artificial lessens, grows quieter, dimmer. With no destination, we water beings have only the practice and process of being water, now, here, and with whomever or whatever is around us. Our practice is only that of being in the moment, however polluted, artificial, admixed, and wonderful as it is. This podcast is an original labor of love, designed, written, and co-produced by many, whose central idea is that Tao Te Ching remains good news for today. Tao still speaks. Thanks to Tom Burnett for his voice and question. Audrey Davis is our artist. My brother Ben Mullinax supplied the background water sounds in today's episode. Fortress Press holds the copyright for quotations from my Tao Te Ching translation. May your days begin in peace and become wombs for radical hope.